ridiculous notion is for either one of you all to have the audacity to believe that you understand what the experience is to be.
I have to object to that.
But you just said
I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being. You're right. There's two ways you cannot understand something. One is to be too far from it. We're too far from it. We can't see like you can. One is to be too close to something. And then sometimes you can't see it accurately either.
Bill Maher has all but torched his ties with the left, diving headfirst into political no man's land. While he hasn't signed any official declaration of defection, his scorching monologues and brutal takedowns of Democratic guests speak volumes. In one explosive exchange, Maher obliterated a guest for race baiting, delivering a verbal hammer blow that left the audience stunned. The fallout was pure spectacle. Hit that like button and subscribe for more fiery moments calling out political hypocrisy.
Under the previous administration, we would have inquiries. We would request information. We would want cabinet secretaries and assistant secretaries and deputy secretaries to come before committee. We would send letter after letter after letter and get no response. The Biden administration operated literally in the shadows. They would not tell you anything that was going on. At least Donald Trump puts it out in the litany of orders that come out that day. Here's what we're doing today. We're going into the Department of Justice. We are taking these attorneys and they are under supervisory review, or however they choose to phrase it. You knew nothing that was going on in Joe Biden's presidency.
That was leftist media correspondent Tara Palmery delivering the usual dose of hollow virtue signaling, buzzwords masquerading as policy. But Bill Maher wasn't having it. He cut her off with one sharp, surgical question that completely unraveled her argument. She froze. No comeback, no clever pivot. Just the realization that slogans don't hold up against real-world scrutiny. And that's the heart of it. The left often confuses catchy chants and moral theatrics for real solutions. They talk justice and equity, but disappear when it comes to hard issues like crime, inflation, and security. Maher's pushback was a wake-up call. Talk is cheap.
Bunch of privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok.
For those not keeping track, the End Racism slogan didn't disappear because a president solved it. It vanished because corporate America finally woke up from its performative, woke-induced trance. For years, CEOs and PR teams slapped empty slogans and rainbow logos on everything to appease online outrage mobs, not to drive real change. It wasn't about solving issues, it was about avoiding backlash. But here's the twist. The tide turned. The woke fever broke. Companies are now quietly dropping the hashtags and returning to business basics. Translation? The outrage mob lost its power, and virtue signaling is officially out of style.
And sexism? Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College. Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. They live here.
Meanwhile, these same voices boldly call themselves defenders of democracy. But what kind of democracy thrives on keeping citizens in the dark? With them, transparency is more myth than reality. Headlines are stage-managed, press conferences choreographed, and narratives spun into knots. When information is finally released, it's not truth. It's spin-polished to look like honesty. With Democrats, the closer you look, the murkier it becomes. Behind the scenes, it's all smoke, mirrors, and political theater. Contrast that with Trump who, whether praised or criticized, built his identity around follow-through. Democrats, on the other hand, have perfected the broken promise. Just look at Biden. He vowed to uphold the rule of law, even if it meant holding his own son accountable. But when it came time to act, he pulled the strings to protect him. Classic double standard.
And they actually see women and people of color, and it doesn't look like some patriarchal racist nightmare. Kamala spent 100 days telling voters, I know it feels like crime and illegal immigration are bad, but your feelings, look at this chart. Yes, there's a lot to not like already about the new regime, but maybe take 1 week to ask what you did wrong. The basis for Democratic campaigns has become, we're the smart people. That we know from the get-go.
Bill Maher didn't let up for a moment. He kept tearing into Terra Palmery for doing what the modern left has made into an art form, ignoring reality and forcing every issue through the tired lenses of race and gender. It's the same recycled script the Democratic National Committee keeps running. Divide people into categories, stir up identity politics, and hope no one notices the lack of real solutions. But voters are tuning out. They've seen the trick, and the DNC's playbook is starting to feel like a stale sitcom rerun. The real tragedy? Instead of adapting, they're doubling down, clinging to the same divisive narratives that once energized their base, but now only reveal how empty they've become. Maher's pushback drove the point home. Prioritizing identity over substance isn't just outdated, it's politically self-defeating. And time is running out. Democrats love to push the idea that America didn't embrace Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton simply because of their gender. It's their go-to defense, a convenient shield to deflect blame for political failure. But as Bill Maher bluntly points out, gender was never the issue. Voters didn't reject them for being women. They rejected a party that consistently ignores the everyday struggles of ordinary Americans. Instead of addressing real concerns like skyrocketing prices, border chaos, rising urban crime, or eroding trust in institutions, Democrats fixate on pronouns, language policing, and endless lectures on race and gender. Maher's criticism stings because it's grounded in truth. Americans aren't turned off by women candidates. They're turned off by a party obsessed with identity politics at the expense of practical solutions. And that's exactly why Democrats continue to lose support where it matters most.
All you have to do is ask my father, who literally died in the Orangeburg Massacre, right? Who helped found SNCC, who marched with Marion Barry and Stokely Carmichael and Martin Luther King, and the list goes on and on and on. And he will tell you today that he feels like this country's in 1954. And so if you want to talk about somebody...
That doesn't mean it is.
Well,
you said he feels that way. That's ridiculous.
It is.
And that, right there, has always been the Democrats' fatal flaw. Their belief that they're the intellectual elite in every room. Anyone who questions their worldview or refuses to embrace their ideology is instantly labeled ignorant, backwards, or uneducated. That arrogance seeps into every speech, debate, and polished media appearance. Layered on top is a relentless stream of moral posturing, as if they alone hold the rights to virtue and decency. Frankly, it's exhausting. This holier-than-thou attitude hasn't just made them insufferable. It's driven a wedge through the country. Instead of persuading, they've shamed. Instead of building bridges, they've burned them. And in doing so, they've alienated vast swaths of the population, all while claiming to be the party of inclusion, yet practicing a brand of exclusion that's as rigid and unforgiving as anything they claim to oppose.
I'm talking about systemic racism. And most times...
Has it gotten worse since 1960?
Yes, actually...
Systemic racism has gotten worse since Jim Crow.
Yes. So you want me to give you a stat? Black home ownership today is less than it was pre-Fair Housing Act of 1968. The schools are falling apart. The infrastructure is eroding. I think the ridiculous notion is for either one of you all to have the audacity to believe that you understand what the experience is to be.
I have to object to that. But I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being.
The moment you step out of line with democratic orthodoxy, you're painted as someone desperate to drag America back to the Stone Age. It's their go-to scare tactic. Label dissenters as backward cavemen to shut down debate. But here's the reality. America has come a long way since the 1960s. Women vote, lead in Congress, run Fortune 500 companies, and have campaigned for the presidency. We've even elected our first female vice president, who's also a woman of color, an achievement that should bury the old talking points. America isn't stuck in the past. It's progressing, breaking barriers that once seemed immovable. But instead of recognizing that progress, the left clings to outdated narratives of victimhood, pretending as if nothing has changed. It's a script that no longer reflects the country we live in, and voters are starting to notice.
What I am saying though is for you to discount my father's experience and say
I'm not discounting it.
And to say it was silly.
I'm not.
No, he was.
No shit. No, but he's still alive. Like, he's right here. Like,
right, but the idea that if I were to say to you, as a Jew, that the experience of Jews in the United States today is worse than the experience of Jews in Europe in 1939, I would not be stating accurately.
Correct.
It's not true.
That's
It's also not true to say that the experience of black people in America in 2024 is worse on a general level than the experience of black men in 1954 in Alabama.
Bill Maher didn't hesitate when Bari Sellers veered into race-baiting territory, claiming people of different backgrounds couldn't truly understand the Black American experience. Maher fired back, noting that perspective goes both ways. Being too close to an issue can cloud vision just as much as being distant. He suggested that Sellers, while passionate, might be so wrapped up in the narrative of racial struggle that he's unable to see the bigger picture. Maher's pushback was bold and necessary, reminding everyone that understanding isn't defined by skin color, and that filtering every conversation solely through race risks muddying solutions instead of clarifying them. His critique highlighted a deeper truth. Sometimes distance is needed to truly grasp the root of a problem. Many so-called race experts have built entire careers and fat bank accounts on the idea that America is hopelessly, irredeemably racist. Their livelihoods depend on keeping that narrative alive. So they twist facts, exaggerate stories, and fan outrage to protect their empire. But here's the uncomfortable truth they rarely admit. Black lives today are undeniably better than decades ago. Opportunities once unimaginable are now reality. We've seen black mayors, governors, senators, billionaires, CEOs, and even a two-term black president. That doesn't erase challenges, but pretending nothing has changed is dishonest. Deep down, even they know it. Progress is real, but admitting it would threaten their power. So the left clings to hollow slogans and moral posturing while ignoring both progress and problems. Maher's pushback cut through it all. Empty narratives can't replace substance. America has moved forward, but Democrats refuse to recognize it because their power depends on pretending otherwise. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.